Hello everyone. Today we're reviewing the insanity that is the talk page about vandalism for the Seleucid Empire. The Seleucid Empire is one of the successor states to Alexander the Great's empire. And with that out of the way, we are now going to discuss politely the insanity that is this vandalism. Draganparis, Lave Ol, Miskin, and Christon, all probably biased by their eventual Greek or Macedonian Fyrom origins, obviously working in concert, permanently vandalized the page of the Seleucid Empire, removing from the Macedonian Empire the Great its Macedonian designation. We need an arbitration. Miskin, please refrain from insulting other editors over simple content disputes which happen on a daily basis all over Wikipedia. I apologize, but for these kind of what I would call mistakes, Wikipedia imposes quite the unpleasant term, vandalism. I do not approve of the term, but here it simply indicates repeated erroneous actions. 4 or 5 times, you or your supporters corrected the qualification of the Alexander the Great Empire as Macedonian Empire. You say it was not Macedonian, opposing a historic truth and opinions of most prominent historians. To do this is false, and you must be prevented from doing this. There are all signs that this is done out of simple ignorance by you and a couple of other people who might be acting in concert, but this is also not sure. By itself, it could not be morally wrong. Indeed, I pointed out that number of times to the mistakes, and gave you more than sufficient references, which you ignored again and again. There is either a misunderstanding or profound ignorance. Ignorant are we all sometimes, and this cannot be insulting and is not my intention anyway. Please undo text of Seleucid Empire and set it as I left it. In the circumstances, I have to call help vandalism. Please do not take it literally. I am asking for the editor's arbitration to stop your erroneous, repeated actions. As far as Wikipedia is concerned, this is a typical case of content disputes, and can by no means be considered as Wikipedia vandalism. For what concerns the content dispute, I have replied and provided my sources in the section above. I'm not running for president, and I have no supporters. I have never had any contact with the involved editors before. It's just that the editor consensus is against you, and within good reason as far as I'm concerned. I'm sorry, you are trying to prove something that is not the case. The Macedonian Empire is not a term used to describe the empire of Alexander the Great. So you cannot offer any evidence for this. This is logical. How you can demonstrate an inexistent fact. I am not blaming you for that. Indeed, the only way possible would be to list all possible places in literature where it is referred to, and show that the term Macedonian Empire is not there. This would require an extensive work of many years. I am not forcing you to do this, but I would appreciate it very much if you would consider the only possible alternative, a demonstration that it is an existing fact that the Empire of Alexander has been and is denominated as Macedonian Empire. If this were an existent fact, it would be possible to demonstrate it. And I demonstrated to you by listing number of references where this term is used or has been intended. The cited restore references are of such historical importance, coming from the leading Anglo-Saxon historians such as Hammond and Borza, James Ashley, his book, The Macedonian Empire, for example, leading French historian like Maurice de Vergere and his group, etc., chapter The Macedonian Empire and a seminal work on the empires. So you simply have to accept the Macedonian Empire as a valid term. Therefore, I am blaming you for not accepting my demonstration. I am blaming you for also falsely citing and falsely using citations to prove your case. My dear Miskin, when citing, the exact full reference must be given. That reference should be accompanied by also citing word by word the most relevant phrase. Then it is a reference. Simply giving the names or titles of the works brings little. Also, the Bible is not accepted as a reliable reference. I am sorry. It must be a work of well-known and accepted scientist historian. Needless to say, as Kristen did, giving falsely spelled German citation that is irrelevant to the dispute is also no proof at all, and is an attempt to achieve something by illicit means. And then you, dear Miskin, for example, you are saying that all experts accept that Macedonian was a Greek dialect, which of course has nothing to do with our discussion, and give Hammond, who in reality says that he just believes that it could have been a Greek dialect, Borza, who does not believe that it was, and says that, and all say that they in fact do not know. Exclamation points! The other proofs that you are advancing, the Macedonian royal family was Hellenes, although may be true, is irrelevant here. Hellenism, in the end, has nothing to do in this discussion. It may well be that the inverse concerning sets and subsets of yours that you mentioned above, that the Greeks of the north were incorporated into Macedonian stock, the kingdoms up to Perseus were indeed Macedonian kingdoms. On the... Shit. The hell is it? Other Macedonians accepted the Greek language as the language of trade, of the royal families, and of the language of culture, to slowly permit it to disappear after the dissolution of the Ptolemy dynasty, who of course spoke Macedonian, language or dialect. I am sorry, the way you are trying to prove your and your companion's point is not just incorrect, but since it is repeatedly done after you had been informed that the method is false, may be immoral and worth blaming. So as a result, I claim, help vandalism! Let's get started with my famous phrase in German. Of course, it is irrelevant to this discussion. Perhaps Dragon Paris hasn't noticed that the phrase was about the question if India should be kept in the list of Seleucid belongings or not. That's why it's listed in the chapter India. The whole thing has nothing to do with the ethnic subject. That is mostly discussed on this page. Honestly, I don't care that much which definition is used for the Seleucid borders. There is a good argument to take India in and to leave it out. It's true, my spelling has been terrible. It should be hierarchish instead of hierarchish. Well, if I have been wrong with this, perhaps I may have been wrong with anything else also. Wait, on the other hand, Dragon Paris' spelling is much worse, so that would mean... I don't understand. Why Dragon Paris so desperately tries to change this article. It's about the Seleucids, and its content isn't very close to the old Macedonian-Greek dispute. Wouldn't it make much more sense to change the article about Alexander the Great? Even I, as a fanatic, nationalist, conspirative, vandalistic Greek, thinks it's unfair that Alexander there is only counted as Greek, but not Macedonian. But that's no reason to spoil this little article. Dear Kristen, I recognize that the comment of 13th of August that on the issue of India you had just partially right and that issue was hard to decide, and we agreed, I think, on that matter. I objected that you did not see the book. The rule in any case is that when describing the power of empires, to mention their maximal territorial extent and to mention what space they occupied for a long time, which is often much smaller. So I propose to do the same with the Seleucids. I am sure you agree. Yet I think you did not correct what you did on the page. I think I even did not look. I lost enthusiasm about Wikipedia because it's. But you wanted to prove that you read the book, my friend, and you returned to this discussion with really completely irrelevant citations. Okay? The spelling mistake observation was just a joke. This is not so important here. On the other issue, on Macedonian Empire, we may agree if you accept my argumentation. It is true the issue is not India, but Macedonian Empire. And if you know how to do this, please move it here. I will, on the contrary, take a rest and observe from time to time what you people are doing. I am very sincere to you and would greatly appreciate if you were sincere to me also and explain why do you Greeks, I presume, want to remove the term Macedonian from the historic period of Macedonian domination? Why? How is it possible that you do not see what everyone sees? Macedonian ethnocentrism during that period. This has been documented by all tertiary sources of Alexander's biographers and commented by a number of modern historians. As I said, it is possible that the Macedonians and Greeks, Hellenes, were of the same related stock as Germans and Austrians are, or Balkan slave. Oh, God. Balkan slaves, who are all... I hope that was supposed to be Slavs, who are all also in the same way extreme nationalists in spite of their ethnic similarity. So Macedonians controlled almost all, yet you want to remove the term Macedonian. It is true Alexander wanted world empire, since he knew that imposing Macedonism to the entire empire would mean its end, and it did not last long. The Romans did not follow that ethnocentrism, and the Roman Empire lasted. If today any multicultural society would rely on only one dominant ethnic group as the Macedonian Empire tried in antiquity, such society would collapse immediately. Yes, unifying power of the Macedonian Empire was the common language, Koine or so Greek, and the Hellenic culture. So we had Macedonian state structure and Hellenic culture as fantastic social glue. What destroyed the empire was, to a very important extent, its local Macedonism. I only beg you and the others to read Arrian, at least, and Hammond, and it will be enough. Please, we will understand each other much better then. Dear Dragon Paris, you guessed right. I was a little pissed off, because you accused me of having not read the book. I did it 2 years ago, and now I have read parts of it again. Let this thing rest. I take the India thing back in the article. The ethnic problem. First of all, I am not Greek, and I am not of Greek origin or anything else. And I think the term Fyrom is discriminating. As I said, it's a shame that Alexander's true Macedonian ancestry is denied in his article, but I still do not see any reason why this fact should be mentioned here. Macedonia was the political power behind Hellenism. Greece, the cultural one. That's why historians are using the term Hellenistic to avoid any ethnic conflict. Perfect solution. Why do we dispute then at all when we agree? But we do not agree completely, I suspect. This is good, since if we agreed there would have been no conversation. It would be terribly sad to see disappear the expression Macedonian. I do not really know how much Fyrom is really Macedonia. The land, yes, its north part, or who knows. These times are so remote. We do not know who exactly lived there at these times. The old Macedonia was certainly around the Thermaic Bay. I was there many times in the 80s. If you are there, then you are suddenly Macedonian. But this is all that matters, because people are what they are, a mixture of various ethnic entities anyway. When I go to Greece, I am Greek. When I am in Germany, where I am now, I am German. This is the land, and this is the history that makes us people. My Kristen, the saddest thing that could happen at all, and it happened, was that the Macedonia disappeared and has been left to the people of Slav origin, or Fyrom, or call it how you think the best would be to defend that term, to defend the use of the word that was in the origin, as you sad of the rise of Hellenism. It is not bad that they are defending it, but it is bad that we all are not trying to do the same, to pull it out from oblivion. It is true that Macedonians and Alexander, even if he was of Greek origin, had many vices would have been in The Hague today for what he did then. But the idea of the united world based on Hellenic culture has been the greatest idea ever born in human mind. I think that he did not learn this from Alexander. He learned this when he was deep in Persia and when he realized that life is short and the worth of the human beings is just immeasurable, no matter which race there were. Then to subdue them, he thought that would be pure madness. So he tried to make them just equal to the Macedonians and Greeks. This idea is born in Macedonian Asian expedition, not Hellenic idea. This was the idea of the Macedonian king, who could have been Greek, but who was beyond, far beyond belonging to any race. But he did it all with his Macedonians, and he was proud of them. Read Diodorus Siculus, you will be happier man, Kristen. This is why I think we need the expression Macedonian. When you read Arrian, or even Hammond, a modern historian, the expression Macedonian overwhelms you, Kristen. That was Macedonian world. We should keep it in history. This is something that was once, long time ago, and history is just about these things, Kristen. You haven't got the slightest idea how ridiculous you're making yourself sound with all those contradictions and conspiracy theories of yours. You have based your entire views on a sole author who happens to hold a minority view on the topic, and he acknowledges it himself, Borza. I don't think you've read Hammond, or if you did, you didn't understand much. Hammond proposes first a Doric and then an Aeolian branch of what he considers a Macedonian dialect. This also happens to be a majority view among scholars, supported also by Lane, Fox, and many others, older and modern. Borza holds a minority view on the topic, and frankly, I'm a bit fed up with people picking their favorite author and trying to build Wikipedia according to minority views. This is against Wikipedia. Neutral point of view. I'm not saying that this is what you did. You did made minor changes to the article, but many people do so. Just stop talking. Just stop making personal comments to editors, calling them names, and making ludicrous claims about conspiracy theories on the editor consensus. Also, please read Wikipedia. Assume good faith. While you're at it, it would be too easy for me or anyone here to reply to your comments by calling you Slav, Bulgar, of whatever it is, but no one has done so. Frankly, I'm not going to edit war you over this, and I didn't intend you. I don't care so much. It's only a matter of time before someone rewrites the head and maybe the entire article, because this is Wikipedia. I only made one edit. And in the article, in an effort to improve it, I'm not fanatically trying to pass a POV point of view like you are. And the only reason I'm replying to your silly comments... Because just like Kristen, I enjoy seeing that some articles remain free of fanatic POV pushers. The facts up to this point are the following. Today, Macedonian Empire is not a standard term for Alexander's empire, probably because none of its contemporaries ever called it so. There's no such term as Macedonian Hellenistic. It's not that it isn't standard like in point 1. It's that it doesn't exist. It's a fiction of your imagination. It's like insisting on calling the Roman Empire period Latin Roman or something. If you can't understand those simple points of view, abide by neutral point of view, citing sources, and neutral point of view. What the hell? How are these the same page? Then I have nothing more to say to you. We just don't speak the same language. Okay, and so that you know, ancient Macedonia prior to becoming an empire under Philip II was not at all located where the Slavic-speaking modern Macedonias. Have a look at the maps in the article Macedon. Funny for one who has no bias against biased conspirators like me and Kristen. You're really making a lot of mentions and drawing too many parallels between the things you allegedly don't care about. Maybe it's time you realized you're not more smart or cunning than the people around you. I gave probably 20 references to support what I wrote. If you are not able to produce one single reference, then what you do is vandalism. In addition, your text above boils of pro-Fyrom or pro-Pan-Hellenistic political bias. Will you please get out of the discussion? Thank you. Just because you can isolate some authors who used Macedonian Empire a few times, it doesn't mean that it's a standard term. The fact that there's no encyclopedia or dictionary entries by this title is the proof that it's not a standard term. So what do you expect? To find an author who says, so, Macedonian Empire is not a standard term in historiography, so don't use it on Wikipedia? As for your other off-topic claims and statements on the Macedonians, such as their language, their minority views of Borza and do not at all fall into the majority views of Hammond and Lane Fox. And Borza acknowledges that. There are your references. And please do read Wikipedia's policies. Start with assume good faith, vandalism, and civility that you've been constantly abusing. You're not the one who decides who stays and who goes. Get expired! Dear Miskin, what I first proposed to some Googwick scientists is to look up in Google or Wikipedia. Please do the same. In fact, my dear friend, the use of that expression is trivial matter, and your insisting on it is certainly of political nature. Please refrain from interfering if you are not clear about your political bias. Britannica uses Macedonian Empire. UNESCO uses it also. Please look up what I already cited and also what follows. Apart from the scientific literature already cited, here are some books and internet sites that hundreds could be found, including Wikipedia, and smaller sources. What's this? Oh. Just enter Macedonian Empire and you will find hundreds. Of course, majority are Fyrom or Pan-Hellenistic propaganda, but a number of them are not. Here's some. I don't feel like reading all these sources, so let's just slowly scroll down them. Alright. Sources. I am sorry you are producing vandalism. From my part, you can add the term Macedonian as many times as you like to describe Alexander's empire. This will of course create more conflicts in the future, but you won't be here to participate, so you obviously don't care. I don't have the intentions of reverting your edits. I've only made one edit so far, and that was with the intention to improve. However, I will remove the term Hellenistic Macedonian or Macedonian Hellenistic in any article, because in any article I see it, simply because it's a term that you alone have invented. And for the last time, stop making personal attacks and assumptions about me. You don't know me. You keep breaching. Assume good faith and civility, both fundamental policies. Since you've been refusing to read Wikipedia rules, on your own, then maybe someone should have an admin explain things to you. Instead of quoting what you read on the internet, take 2 minutes of your life and read WP Vandalism before using that term again and making a fool of yourself. This discussion, turning out to become a personal discussion, should continue on talk pages, so I left my last comment on the talk page of Miskin. The community of obviously linked persons is permanently vandalizing this page. If you cannot develop an argument, please abandon the subject that you do not know. Accept knowledge. Do not vandalize. This destroys the idea of Wikipedia. Thank you, Dragon Paris. Zachronian, Lavel, and a couple of others, probably acting as a group, are permanently vandalizing the page. Sanctions are needed. In what sense can the Diadochi be considered Macedonian regardless of each one's specific origin? Not minding the first question, your addition is redundant. It just makes the introduction uglier. This is how simple it is for me. The discussions here, apart from wrevealing your obsession to highlight certain things, evolved around the term Macedonian Empire, whether Alexander's Macedonian generals is an established reference to the Diadochi, which I'm sure it isn't. Please go cry for help to an admin or something and don't repeat yourself here. Leave my last revert as proof of vandalism also. Alright. I must be allergic to idiots. And this all happened in 2008. So I think. Yep, 2008. Yep, that's the... So that's the Wikipedia Seleucid Vandalism Wikipedia article for the Seleucid Empire and the controversial vandalism thing. I hope to see you all in the next video. Bye-bye.